Welcome, welcome, friends. Thank you for joining me for this calming practice. We're going to work on resettling the nerves into a more balanced state and then building a little bit of strength on top of that sense of calm. For this practice, you're going to want a bolster. If you don't have a bolster, you can use a couple of pillows off a bed, so you want a little height, not too flat, or a foam roller wrapped in a blanket so it's not too hard. You're also going to want either a block or a blanket, something that if you were to lie on your side and put your head on, it wouldn't be kinking your neck. Once you've got those, you're going to begin with the bolster or pillows at the foot end of your mat. And then we're going to lie down to start with. We're going to do more activity later. We're just going to start with a little bit of ease here. And you have two options here, either just resting your knees on it like Shavasana, or if your knees are a little bit more flexible or able, you can cross your legs and put your shins, feet, knees up on the prop, which is higher than your hips, which are on the ground. Starting here with this idea of not doing. So many of us are so busy, and even I find myself even in moments when I'm not busy that my nervous system is triggered toward the sympathetic, more agitated. So let this just be a pause where you can relax your shoulders. And maybe breath by breath, you just shed layer upon layer of any kind of gripping that's ready to release. Take a nice long exhale out. Just really letting gravity pull you into the earth. No resistance to that. And a full deep inhale, expanding the ribs, the chest, the back. And start to open the eyes if they're closed. And if your feet are cross-legged, just step your feet over the bolster or pillows. You're going to use your heels. Try not to sit up if you can help it. Just keep the head down. And scoot the bolster closer to your bum so that you can reach it with your hands. Basically, we're going to just do bridge pose with a little variation. So lift your booty up, pull that prop in, and set your tail on it in such a way that your low back is a little bit rounded. So instead of bridge pose, where we're really kind of dynamically arching the back here, let your back sink into the space between the bolster and the floor, between your bolster and your back, really, so that the low back it's almost like sagging and dropping toward the earth. And once you're position there, you just commence that same not doing. And all around that sort of middle to low back, just concentrating on that area and letting it just drape down, drop down. You shouldn't feel like you're going to fall off your prop. If you do, you've scooted too far off the edge of it. Let the front of your waist release down into the back, and the back just fall and widen and spread as it opens toward the ground. Again, breath by breath. Shedding any layers of tension that might be ready to unclench. And when we are triggered in a sympathetic response, it can take between 10 and 20 minutes for the stress hormones and that reaction to release. This is not a fast process, so that's why we're moving slow right now. And as I mentioned, we'll move a little bit more, not fast, but with a little more engagement and activity soon. A little bit deeper exhale, maybe out the mouth. And again, when you breathe in, just focusing on expanding, in particular, the part of your back that's hanging and up into the part that is pushed against the floor, your upper middle back there. And again, you can open your eyes if you like for this. You're gonna pick up your right knee, interlace your fingers over the knee, and drop that knee toward your chest. Think of it less like you're just cranking it with your hands and more like it's kind of a gravity assist because your buns are higher than your head. So the knee should fall easily, and you might have to widen it a little to the right, and that's fine. Focus on the right side of the back. Let it hang or go rounded toward the floor. And the front side, that kind of pillar of your stomach, which is the psoas, right along the inner edge of the hip bone, from the inner thigh, it runs up to your rib cage. Let that drop in or down as well. We're going to release the hands, put the right ankle on the left knee, and pick the left leg up. So it's that figure 4 pigeon stretch. Left foot off the ground. Again, kind of no hands, letting the bolster sort of tuck your tail up off the ground for you. So it's not effortful. Move the legs away from your chest, uncross the right ankle, and put your right foot on the floor. Take hold of your left knee now. Drop it in toward your belly. It might even squeeze against your belly there on the left side. And one of the reasons that we do the right side first when it comes to this sort of abdominal squeezing is the right side is the ascending colon and the left side is the descending colon. So this is working with digestion to kind of squeeze through the guts in a way that works with our digestive tract. From the inner groin through the belly up to under the rib cage, soften that. Let that pillar drop into the back and the back release toward the floor. Don't worry too much about what the right leg's doing. If it's flopping open to the side, no biggie. Okay, cross left ankle and right knee. You could always leave your right leg down, but consider just picking them up and getting this sort of little bit more tucked, gravity-assisted version of figure 4 stretch. Just try not to fight it. Try to let go into that sensation of stretching in the hips. And once again, release. We're going to lift the hips, nudge the bolster out of the way. We're going to keep using it, but for now, just push it over to the side so that you can easily get up to sitting. I would suggest coming up slow. You've been down there for a while with your head the lowest. And you're going to push into the floor. And once you're upright, you might notice like already I feel sleepy and almost like groggy. And in some ways that's actually what I want, because I've been too tense lately, today, I should say. So take that bolster across again. And this is where you might want the prop for under your head. So a block is a good idea, or a folded blanket, whatever works for you. So you're gonna take the side of your rib cage, so not your waist, but like the bony, higher kind of side, and you're gonna lie that over. So let's go left side down, right side up. Really doesn't matter, just go on your side, who cares? And then place your head on the elevated prop. And in kind of the same fashion that you just did on your back, just let your side body drape over this prop. So we're in the not doing phase right now, minimal effort. And you're letting the bolster or the pillows or the roller with the blanket on it elevate your side ribs so that the top side, which is the right side for probably most of you, open up. And the head can go lower than this. You don't have to have it here, but starting with it higher is less intense. So if you feel that you need more side bend, you're always welcome to take that prop under your head away. What we're going to add from here is a little bit of a rocking movement, and what we're going to do that is rock forward a little bit, like we're closing the belly toward the floor. And then we're going to rock backwards, so we're rolling the belly a little bit more open toward the sky. So the head's not really doing that much, the torso's doing this. And I want you to think of this less like you're trying to form a shape, like i.e. a pose, and more like you're just exploring movement, this gentle rocking forward and backward. It's sort of massaging on the side ribs. This is why we didn't want just a hard foam roller by itself, because this would be really intense if it was one of those black ones that feels like a brick. And I want you to notice as you're moving like this one last pass back and forth, where's the spot that you feel like you need to be, like intuitively, even if it's not like the most comfortable spot. Just pause on that. With an exhale, just really resting into that sense of draping over the prop. And we'll add one simple thing, which is to move the right arm or the top arm out overhead and finding a way to support it. Maybe its fingertips are on the ground, or maybe it's holding on to the prop under your head. Just to open up that top side a little bit more. When you breathe in, imagine that that side is puffing, the right side is sort of puffing up toward the sky, and the back is puffing back towards whatever's behind you. And the abdomen is quiet. Release that right arm. Use it to push into the floor. You're just coming up long enough to swap over to your other side. Go slow, just stay with that sense of not rushing, you know. We rush enough, I think. And again, not down at the waist, floating ribs, but up higher on the thicker part of your rib cage, the more dense, bony part. Lie over on your side, place your head at appropriate height on a prop, or if that feels like it's not necessary, take the prop away. Just land here, don't start any movement yet. Just get acclimated to the feeling of this thing jutting into the side of your rib cage, and the other side of the ribs being lifted or buoyed up toward the ceiling. This tends to make a lot of people kind of want to hold on or hold the breath. So utilize this opportunity to notice if that's your habit, right? This is how we begin to reshape our nervous system response, is by noticing how it's responding. And if that is in fact a match for the circumstance, right? Like, do you really need to brace right now? Maybe you do. But if it's not a match, if you're bracing unnecessarily, maybe you can let go and just soften into it. Try to get that sense of letting go first, and then rock slowly. You don't need to make it big. It doesn't have to be big unless you want it to be, but just exploring movement, forward, backward rocking, rather than thinking you need to be in any perfect shape. And keep an eye out for that spot where your body intuitively says, yeah, that's probably where I should stay, even if it's like not the most comfortable of all the spots. Give an exhale, settling your weight in that spot, not moving anymore, just in the new place. And then reach over with the left or top arm in some way overhead, just to open up the flank on the lifted side a little bit more. Even imagine that you could breathe into that, into those left ribs, as if those were lifting and widening and spreading back. Release your arm if you took it overhead and it's still there, and push with your hands to sit up a little bit. And we're going to stay with the bolster, just move the head prop out of the way. And we're going to shift so that the upper back is on the bolster. So just turn boca arriba, put your mouth up. I don't know if that's how you say it in Spanish. I might be making that up. Like boca is your mouth, arriba is like upstairs. Okay, so put your upper back on the bolster with your butt on the floor and your knees bent. You're going to use your hands here to support your head. And when you get your head supported, cradle your occiput, that's the bulge at the back of your skull, kind of where it joins your neck. You can do it with both hands. I'm going to leave my hand down just so you can see easier. And I want you to lengthen the back of your neck. So like you're just gently tractioning, pulling with your hands, not forcefully, just encouraging a little bit of length. And at the same time, you're going to take your front ribs and you're going to draw them down in a little mini crunch. And you shouldn't be going so high that you're like violently shaking in an ab workout, but just enough that you're creating a connection in your middle where your ribs aren't just flaring open. So you're going to try to keep those two pieces in play, and you're going to start to take the head back. So your chest is going to roll open more toward the ceiling without your ribs flaring open. So for most people, the tendency is to just pop the ribs up or to dump the head back. So that's why we went slow enough to rewire here. Draw the front ribs down, lengthen the back of your neck. Someone's at my door. Hopefully you don't hear too much dog barking. And just slowly just start to take your head and skull back. So that your chest and upper back are doing the opening. You're going to keep your head at this elevation wherever you've gotten, supporting it. And just side bend. Take your right elbow toward the bolster, left elbow away from the bolster. come to center. Wave your spine the other way. So now left elbow toward bolster, right elbow away from hip. Go back and forth a couple of times and, play this little dance where you just check in with the ribs. So that part of your back that was sort of dropping and lengthening towards the floor earlier, you want to keep that long here. If your ribs begin to flare up, the lower ribs, you'll tend to shorten in the low back. So where can you do that? Where can you find that spot? Now using your head for support, your hands rather for support, pick up your head, do a little more of an abdominal crunch. You can open your eyes, just like a mini crunch, look toward your legs. And then you can use your hands on your knees and just begin to pull yourself up to sitting. I want you to just sit upright for a few breaths. I'm going to grab the dog. I mean, it's like a live yoga class here. We've got to check on things sometimes. So just stay in that posture for a moment. I'm going to check on her. Would you like to come with me, honey? Come here. Come on. Good girl. Okay, so this is Miss Junebug. She's going to join us. She's a new foster girl, and obviously the barking was she was scared. So now that you've sat for a little bit, you're going to turn, and I want you to go same prop, same bolster. Here, sweetheart. You're going to put it under your belly now. So we're going to turn face down in Sphinx pose. And we're going to aim this prop to be here at your solar plexus area. So just put yourself face down. And I should mention that before you get too cozy with this, we are going to want to be able to slide the hands in a moment. So you might want to grab a blanket if you have a really sticky surface, or put socks on your hands or something like that. But in any case, right now, we want to have the arms on one side of the prop, the hips on the other side of the prop. Now, the prop, if it's high enough, this is why we didn't want a flat little low pillow, it's holding the front of your ribs up in the same way that you were just holding them down when you were on your back. So it's keeping your belly, your middle belly from sagging, which is what we want. Now we're gonna squeeze the glutes a little bit. Those are your butt muscles. It's not aggressive. You don't want to like overdo it. If it starts to make your back clench or anything weird, just back off. But think of it like you're pushing your pubic bone down into the floor in order to lengthen through your tail, reaching the tail toward your heels. So subtle. It's subtle work. You don't need to do this aggressively. And then tuck the chin slightly. This is exactly what you just did on your back. You were holding your hands on the back of your skull and lengthening your neck. So now picture how that felt. Create that same length. And start to push your skull back, like you're going to put the back of your head back towards your heels. And as you do that, you're continuing to tuck the chin slightly, so that where you're bending is in your thoracic spine. So that's your upper back, your middle back, not your belly, not your neck. Where in your back are you working? Where you can tuck the chin, lengthen the neck, and push your head back. The prop is stopping you from doing most of the bending in your low back. So I'm hoping that you feel a little activation kind of behind the heart, between the shoulder blades, not up by the neck. Pubic bone down, low back long. Tuck the chin enough that the neck is lengthening as you press it back. We're not just jutting the chin forward and bending only at the neck. Now memorize what's working. Just get a sense for that feeling here, because we're going to work that purposefully in just a moment. Take a breath into the back and side ribs. The bolster is blocking the front of your ribs, which is actually a good thing. Forces the back ribs to move. And then you're going to take that bolster and you're going to push that off to the side. So this is where we're going to need the space to slide the arms. And I would suggest either folding your mat out of the way, or just making sure you have clearance that's not sticky. You're gonna put your forehead or chin on the floor and you're gonna tiptoe your hands forward on the ground. So right now you're just lying on your belly and you're kind of pulling on the ground, and it's like you're Wonder Woman or Superman, you're flying. When Wonder Woman had an invisible jet, but if she were flying without the jet, it would be like this, prone. And then what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in and feel while we're here lying with the head down. I'm just keeping my head up so it's easier for me to talk to you. But when you breathe in, it's like if you were floating like a buoy in the ocean. You know, when you were in water and you inhale, you float up like a buoy. So for the next few inhales, see if you can feel that sensation where when you breathe in, there's less weight pushing into your belly and more like a sense of buoyancy in the back of your body elevating toward the ceiling. Junebug, come here. So we want to use that, come sit here. We want to use that as a way to help us in the next shape. So you're going to breathe in, elevate your head with arms straight. You're going to slide your hands back toward your mat. And when you exhale, you're going to release and push back forward. So we're going to do this 3 times. So you're going to inhale, you're getting more buoyant, and you're using that same part of your upper back that you just did when you had your solar plexus on the bolster. And this is kind of like Cobra, but you really don't need to go that far. So just keep thinking of it like you're doing a movement-based practice, less of a posture-based practice. So slide back and forth. Maybe you've done 3 already. Maybe you need some more, where you inhale. That inflation that starts to buoy you up. And as you pull the arms in, press your pubic bone down, squeeze your buns, lengthen the neck, and work in the upper back. Try to hold for a moment or two, just really memorizing how that feels, what's working, what's not working. Exhale, release. Place hands under your shoulders. Push up to all fours. When you get to all fours, you're going to take a mental note, a memory of everything that you have learned about your spine, your arms, your back, your breath, and we're going to put that into dog pose. So try not to disrupt what you've learned. You can always bend your knees. We haven't really stretched the legs yet. When you get to dog pose, make any micro adjustments that you need to in order to work with what you're learning here, this calm and strong shape. When you feel like you've got a sense for that, you're in it, hold still. Be a container for this soothing flow, this rhythmic flow of breath. When you exhale again, please drop your knees. And you can rest for a moment in any shape, maybe child's pose or just sitting back on your heels. Purposefully taking some time in the transitions because we're reshaping the nervous system right now and reshaping the connective tissue in its relationship to that. So we're trying not to rush, because rushing takes us back to our old patterns. So we're going to do a kneeling lunge. You can stay on your mat the way you are. I'm going to face you just so it's easier to see. And we're going to step the right leg forward and the left leg back. So come on upright. Hi, sweetheart. And the same work we've been doing, we're going to continue to do. Just a little kind of tuck in the tail, tail forward or down, and the front ribs back enough that the back of the waist is long, not jutting forward. With the arms, we're going to take the arms overhead, we're going to make a diamond shape, and we're going to hook the thumbs like so. Hey. So this is kind of interesting that she's reminding us, some of us have little nervous tics. This scratching is a nervous tic of hers. She's not itchy. So let's check our patterns periodically. Pull against the thumbs, squeeze the buns, lift the waist, hold the arms, elbows back slightly, little tension across the arms. All we're going to do from here is twist to the right. You might not go very far with your arms like this. Try not to let the legs wobble around. Just keep them steady. Tuck the tail, turn the belly. You might find like I'm getting some stretch as soon as I rotate, I get this wrapping stretch that comes across the front of my left leg. Now we're gonna, just like we did on our back, we're gonna side bend. We're gonna take the left elbow down and the right elbow up. So we're staying in the rotation, keeping the elbows kind of back wherever they go, kind of near or above the head with the hands. Twisting right elbow down, left elbow to sky. Untwist, exhale. We're going to switch legs, simply step change. So we're staying fairly upright for this with the hips above the right knee. You're going to lift your low belly. You're tucking the tail down, or lengthening is probably a better word, toward the floor. So not so far forward that you're overly doing it, but you're keeping the front ribs back so that the back of your waist is full. And I'm taking this time just really slowly helping you set up so you can integrate these pieces. Take the arms overhead, maybe second favorite, thumb on top. It's a little bit of a diamond shape. You're going to tug against the thumbs, whoops. And once you've got the tone in the arms, you just check in again. Tuck the buns down, so squeezing the glutes. Just check that they're not winging out to the left. And then begin your rotation around to the left side. I'm less interested in how far you go. It's not the shape I'm after. It's the feeling of being able to keep these pieces in play. In nervous system terms, we would be saying that you're staying regulated. You're not overdoing it, nor are you just collapsing out of the pose. Stay in your twist, begin to side bend. So now the left side is crunching, left elbow's down, right elbow's going up. You're lengthening the right side of your body. And there is a balance element, it's true. So just get some weight in that left heel. Keep the eyes soft and the breath open. Unravel the twist. Good. Step back with your front leg. And let's come into dog pose again, just integrating all the pieces we've been working with in terms of waistline supported, upper back engaged. When you were on your belly and you were pulling your straight arms back toward you, that taught you what the arms need to do in this pose. That part of your upper back that was active, that's where you bend here. You don't bend in your belly. You don't bend in your low back. Shh, it's okay. It's okay. Now, if this is feeling like enough for you, you can stay here, drop your knees at any point, but consider coming to plank, then putting the knees down. And even if you can do it with straight legs, this is going to help you learn the new pattern. Bend your elbows. Keep the chin in, the neck long. Draw the shoulders back. When you get to your belly, on the in-breath, like you're buoying up, squeeze the buns, tail down, roll into whatever version of cobra you can do where all these pieces are in play. So this is a pose you've probably done a lot, but we're doing it with a lot more refinement. And now if you're not in child's pose, take yourself there now and give a few breaths to be with whatever has arisen. Come up to sitting. We're going to swing the legs forward, and let's take the feet about hip to outer shoulder width apart. We haven't really done a lot of leg stretching, so this will make it easier to fold forward. So we want the back of the legs down on the floor. And we're going to lean forward over the legs, imagining that the pelvis is tipping us forward. And as you come out in front of the legs, you want to place the hands where it's not an intense level of reaching, like it's not hard, it's not making you strain. So that might be your feet, but it might be your ankles or your shins. And you're just being really kind and gentle to your body. And you're kind of telling it like I'm telling this girl, she's pretty anxious, like, it's okay. It's okay, baby. Yeah, I know. It's hard. It's hard when you've been scared, huh? Sometimes the body needs that kind of communication as well. You just tell your body, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Now we're going to stay in our forward fold, and we're going to take a little bit of a variation. So you're going to lean your weight over toward the right. I'm going to go to the left, so I'm mirroring you. And you're going to aim your head towards the outside of your right leg, as if you were going to put your left ear on the outside of your right leg. So your hips are staying neutral. You're not shifting off your behind to do this. You're just ever so slightly sliding your chest and torso over to the right and releasing your head down as if you were going to put it on the floor off to the outside edge of your right leg. I'm not saying you have to put it that far. I mean, it depends on your flexibility, but. And as you're holding that, allow your left hip to drop down so that the back of your waist on your left side begins to lengthen. And you can use the hands however works for you. You might notice I've moved the hand I'm going towards way off to the side. Everything's fine, sweetie. And we're going to stay mostly forward. I mean, you might sit up a little bit. No, honey, you can't sit right there right now. You can go over to the other side. Hey, you're going to lean your torso. So we're not side bending, just to be clear. Because we're facing down, it's more like the chest is moving almost parallel to the ground, over now to the left. It's my right. And it's like a side lateral shearing movement, as if to put your right ear on the outside of your left leg by your knee. And we're not looking for the maximum distance. I mean, that's not really this practice. We're not trying to power our way through. So just imagine really like you're having this conversation with your body. It's okay. What do you need from me right now? The mind can go much faster than the body. The mind is ready to do 25 more things than this. The body's like, whoa, pump the brakes. So let that right hip drop down. Try to get some space there on the right side of your waist. Probably going to feel that in the back of the waist. This is kind of the back edge of the psoas, where it attaches into the same area as the kidneys and the adrenals, which are, when I was mentioning earlier about those, the chemicals that release and how the stress response can take, it's like 10 to 20 minutes to unwind. Those chemicals are firing there from the adrenal glands. Right? That's where that adrenaline comes from, that word cortisol, etc. So these trigger the ability to run, to flee. Okay, come to center and just go straight down the middle, like you're going to put your face snuggled in between your calves in your forward bend. Let the head tuck in. Hi, baby. It's just good to finish with something kind of centered or symmetrical, and start to walk yourself back up out of that and make your way onto your back in Shavasana. And it's really important not to skip Shavasana. I had a wonderful experience recently with a student who was having a little bit of discomfort in her back, and then she just went into Shavasana because she knows to do this, and it basically readjusted her spine for her as she rested and relaxed there. So little things like that can happen here, and this is where kind of the magic of integrating the changes comes, right? We reshape, and the longer we can kind of get the feeling for this new state of being, the easier it will be to recognize that again in the future. Stop licking. No, you don't need to do that. So this is just a bookend, like what we began with. Where the back of the body gets to rest into the floor. And the front of the body can settle into the back of the body. Don't try to hold on to anything or hang on to anything. Just be with where you are right now. Just be in the bhav. We call it the bhava, the feeling. It's okay. You're okay. It's okay. I'm saying that to Junebug, but I'm saying that to you too. It's okay. And I don't mean that trite saying like everything's going to be okay. We don't know that, but it's just like when you cradle a baby, or in this case a little doggy, and you just you're okay. It's okay. You can do this. You've got this. Everything's okay. When it's time for you to reawaken, let your eyes softly open, just a little light coming in. So you're seeing the room, you're seeing your space from this new perspective. You've reshaped your nervous system and your body. These changes can stay with you, but don't hang on to them. They come and they go, and over time, the effects might linger a little bit more. In any case, you're gonna bend your knees, roll to your side. You can pause there. It's a good idea to just go fetal position or something, slowly transitioning through to sitting. And when you're ready to sit all the way up, push with your hands, come on back upright. Don't jump right up. It's gonna be really disorienting if you do that sit. Just for a moment. Hi, sweet baby. So this work is based on what's called the Polyvagal system. It's based on more than that, but that's a lot of what I'm bringing in. And I'll be doing a course on that, a yoga and polyvagal course later this month on June 26th. I'll put a link in the comments below, the description below. So if you feel like joining, I'd love to have you. In any case, it's been wonderful to have you here. I appreciate you so much, and I'm so grateful that you take the time to care for yourself, because this is how we make the world a better place. Much love from me and Miss Junebug, who I'm sure you'll see more of in the future, and I'll see you next time.